It's made an incredibly generous offer. It is a compromise. He's laid out on the table what Democrats have said they wanted, which is let's open the government, let's get 800,000 people back to work, let's let DACA recipients have a real clear vision for the next 3 years, which is a pretty long time to get something settled. And Nancy Pelosi says no. She proves today that she's not interested in those 800,000 government workers on furlough. She's not interested in dreamers. She's interested in trying to do something to hurt this president and ultimately hurt this country. And now we know.
You know, Mike, I think at least one side has forgotten what negotiation is all about. Each side gets something. I mean, the president has offered DACA protections, TIPS program, humanitarian money, all that stuff that the Democrats have asked for, and he's asking for essentially a quarter of what he has asked for in the past for wall money. And they won't give it to him because they're not thinking about today, they're thinking about 2020, and that would be a win for him.
Well, it's actually a win for the American people. I mean, it's not a win for anybody when you've had this many people, 800,000 folks, out of pay for over, 28 days. I mean, the point is, this is no longer about Nancy Pelosi and the president. And the president has made a good faith gesture. I think it's more than generous. Generous enough that some of his own people on the right are unhappy with him. But it's the right thing for him to do. I think it's time for Nancy Pelosi to quit playing politics with the lives of these people, accept the fact that there is, more than one branch of government. Sure. She doesn't run the whole thing, unlike what she thinks. She is not equal to the president. Right. She's the speaker of one half of Congress. And sit down and work this out, get it done today, and be done with it.
Right. The big question now is who's going to blink first?
Well, it can't be the president because, in essence, he's already given. He's done more than blink. He has been generous. It's not a capitulation, but it is a compromise, and that's what he's supposed to do. He's offered a reasonable deal. It's more than reasonable. And if she doesn't take it, and if Chuck doesn't take it, if the Democrats don't overrule the two of them and take it, then it is squarely on their shoulders from this day forward.
Well, that's the way it looks to a lot of people. Governor Huckabee, thank you very much for joining us today from the Panhandle of Florida.
Thank you, Steve. Take care.
For more on the shutdown, let's bring in White House Deputy Press Secretary Hogan Gidley. Hogan, good morning to you.
Good morning.
So the Senate and the House are back in session today. What are the president's expectations for when the Senate takes up his latest proposal?
Well, his expectations are clear. He wants an open government and secure borders. And right now, the Senate looks to move on a bill potentially on Thursday for a vote. We have a humanitarian crisis along our southern border. We have a national security crisis along that border as well. He put forth a common sense plan that used things that the Democrats wanted, included that in the plan, and we want to secure the government. And right now, Democrats refuse to come to the table at all. You just played, or just showed, I should say, a tweet from Nancy Pelosi, and she won't even have a conversation with the president. She was very clear that if we did everything the Democrats wanted, if we voted for every piece they wanted, then they'd talk to us about what we wanted. And when the president put that forward to her as a proposal, fine, I'll open the government and do whatever you want. Will you have a conversation with me about border security? She said one word, no. And that's where we stand right now.
If, and I keep saying this is a big if that Senate accord was to make it through both chambers, does Mitch McConnell have the blessing of the president that he will indeed sign that?
Well, that's a big if. We don't know what the final bill would look like, but the president has been clear about what he wants. That's why we took the initiative and put forth a proposal that was signed off on by so many Democrats, at least pieces of it, of what they wanted. Up to and included, we changed the actual materials that the wall would be made out of. So many Democrats in the past voted for steel barriers. That's why we put the language in there, so that when Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and Joe Biden and Chuck Schumer all voted for it, they'd be willing to vote for it again. But until this time, there's only really one thing that's changed, and that's Donald Trump is in the White House. They're playing politics with people's lives here. It's dangerous for the country. And there are 800,000 federal workers that by midnight tonight, if a deal is not reached, they are guaranteed to miss a second paycheck in a row. That's unacceptable. Democrats have to come to the table to work with us to fix it.
And we know that Nancy Pelosi has made the suggestion to the president that he should not publicly deliver his State of the Union address next Tuesday. What is going to happen, Hogan?
Well, we have no announcement at this time, but Nancy Pelosi does not dictate to the president when he will or will not have a conversation with the American people. The State of the Union address is set up so the president can explain just what's going on with our government and just what's going on around the globe. The president has an incredible story to tell about how far we've come in this country economically, in a national security capacity. All of those things are impacting Americans positively, and when we have an announcement on that, we'll let you know. But Nancy Pelosi is trying to play politics with that venue.
If she maintains the invitation, which she has not completely taken the invitation off the table, but she's made a suggestion that he does not deliver that on the House floor. What's the president's plan B there? How would he deliver it, or where would he deliver it?
There are many ways he can deliver the State of the Union address. I'm not going to get ahead of anything he would announce. But the fact is, you just pointed out, she has not canceled it. She asked us to postpone it. And she did that without any input from national security. In fact, she even said that Secret Service couldn't protect the speech, which is absolutely ridiculous. If the Secret Service can protect the President of the United States on a trip to Iraq, chances are they can protect the American president in the halls of Congress.
Michigan Democratic Congresswoman Debbie Dingell, she's the co-chairwoman of the House Democratic Policy and Communications Committee. Congresswoman, it's good to see you this morning. First, give me your reaction to the president's plans, which he laid out yesterday.
You know, I'm going to say several things. One, he didn't say a word about any of the workers that have been furloughed, about getting the government open again. And I'm just meeting with so many workers who are desperate. They're about to have a second. Next Friday, they'll miss their second paycheck. Yeah. We've got to reopen the government. I'm sorry, Maria.
Yeah, no problem.
Outdoors.
Maybe have some water if you can while you're there. I know the feeling. I've had a cough in the last couple of days. But Congresswoman, let me ask you. You say that he didn't mention the workers. Isn't that the whole point of this proposal that he put on the table? The whole point is to open the government and get his border security money for the wall, because this proposal that the president put on the table yesterday extends the temporary protective services for DACA recipients, helps DACA recipients, funds disaster relief, funds humanitarian aid for migrants, and of course, in all of this, it ends the government shutdown. That was the point of it, Congresswoman.
Well, first of all, what he did was put on the table things that have already been rejected by both the House and the Senate before. Well, we are going to next week actually, but they have been rejected. Yeah. They're the same.
What about the Bridge
proposals.
Act? What about the Bridge Act? Because I believe the Democrats voted for the Bridge Act, and many of these proposals were part of the Bridge Act, Congresswoman.
You know what's going to happen next week, Maria? We're going to put on the House floor 6 bills which have been negotiated by Senate and House conference committees to reopen the government, reopen those 6 other agencies. Then let's get in the room and have a real discussion about how we keep this nation safe. You know, I don't know any Democrat that doesn't care about keeping our nation safe. We do need to have border security.
Well, let me stop you there. Let me stop you there, Congresswoman.
It's not just the wall.
Because you say that you don't know any Democrats who don't want border security, and yet none of them voted for Kate's Law. None of them voted to end sanctuary city status. None of them voted for the DACA plan that the president put on the table. So can you really say that they're for border security when they haven't voted for any of the above?
You know, yes, I can say that. And I'm going to talk about how we need to support actual policy that works. How do you keep our border safe? How do you make sure? We have 3,000 open positions right now for Custom and Border Patrol. We need to fill those positions. You know, if you want to talk about drugs coming into this country, which the president talked about yesterday, 90% of cocaine, 88% of opiates, and 88% and of opioids, and 80% of fentanyl comes in at the ports. Yeah. We're doing nothing to keep our ports safe.
We're going to take a quick break, but with all due respect, everything you're saying, we've heard from the president, and that's the reason he put the proposal on the table. I want to take a short break. I want to show you when we come back the map of the wall that separates Tijuana and San Diego, because it's real compelling. Stay with us more as we get your thoughts on also Special Counsel Robert Mueller's statement disputing BuzzFeed's report that claimed the president directed his former personal attorney, Michael Cohen, to lie. Talk to me a bit about why the speaker and your colleagues are so against some kind of fencing or barrier on our southern border. In fact, Nancy Pelosi has a border wall right in her own state. We're going to look at this map right here of Tijuana. And the wall that separates Tijuana and San Diego. You've got about 3 million people in Tijuana and 3 million people in San Diego. Why wasn't one of her first points on the agenda to tear down this wall if it's immoral?
So what I want is border security, which I think means, and I think most Democrats mean, let's all get in the room and talk about what that border security is. There are many parts along that border that a wall doesn't even work. There's rivers, etc. We have new technology out. We have drones.
Yeah.
We have sensors. We should be using all of it, Maria.
Absolutely.
So why do we have to close 6 other departments? And let's get in regular order.
Yeah.
Let's get in the room. Let's all agree on border security, a package that'll truly keep us safe, and let's reopen the government.
I think you make a lot of good points, because there are areas of the country where we don't need a wall, probably, like near the Rio Grande, where there's this open space, where if a migrant, if an illegal immigrant comes and tries to hide in that area, he'll probably or she'll probably be found pretty quickly, because it's miles and miles of open space. But I want to get your take specifically on the southern border, and specifically this wall in Tijuana, because this is a very dense area, with 3 million people in one side and another 3 million in the other side. If you were to tear that wall down, do you think that eventually those people would just assimilate, and those 3 million people in Tijuana would basically just become citizens in the U.S.? I mean, not citizens legally, obviously, but just assimilate into the population. Would that happen?
First of all, nobody is saying we don't need border security. Why aren't we?
Congressman, I'm specifically asking you about the border in Nancy Pelosi's state.
Right now, they need more. They're not even filled all the positions to keep that border safe.
Should that wall be torn down? Should that wall be torn down?
No, I don't. I haven't been to visit the site. I don't know all the specifics of it, and
well, let me give you some specifics. Let me give you some specifics, Congresswoman, because we've got the border apprehensions just from that wall just in the month of November 2018. And in California, there was 7,764 apprehensions, nearly 7,800 border apprehensions in California alone just for the month. November last year, total Southwest border apprehensions for November, nearly 52,000. I guess that tells you that that wall works. Would you say that that wall in Nancy Pelosi's state is working?
There are places that it is appropriate, and that's why
that specific wall in Tijuana and San Diego.
Because I haven't visited, I'm not going to say for sure, but I'm not going to say it should come down either. One thing I've learned about when you are seasoned, don't comment when you don't have all the facts and don't know if you're walking into something you shouldn't say. But I'll tell you what, the next time you talk to me, I'm going to study it and have the answer.
I just wonder why Nancy Pelosi is so against it and your colleagues are so against it when we know that there's a wall in her own state. Do you find that hypocritical? Let me ask you, let's take a step back, Congressman. Let's take a step back and just try to understand better whether or not this is all politics. Because we know that many of your colleagues voted for a border wall twice. That includes Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, in terms of the need to protect the American citizens. We know that. Now, Donald Trump has the idea. He made it a campaign promise, and he said all throughout the campaign, build that wall a number of times. Is that the reason that you're against the wall and your colleagues are against the wall? Because it was now Donald Trump's campaign promise?
First of all, I've been really clear. I don't think compromise is a dirty word, and I have always said that. I do believe that we need to have a conversation about border security, and that border security is a much larger topic. Do I think we're political right now? I absolutely do, and I think it's ridiculous. I think that we need to reopen the government. There are so many services that aren't getting done now from people that need help and the people that aren't being paid. I had a mother this week call me who's been deemed an essential service employee. She hasn't been paid in a month, can't pay for her child's daycare. Daycare's kicking her out. She's losing the space. Yeah. She can't take time off because she's been deemed essential. Yeah. She's working Denny's at midnight.
You just said
not right either.
You just said a moment ago we have to have a conversation. Isn't that what we're doing? Isn't that why the government is shut down? No. But that's why, Nancy Pelosi is in Washington. The president has put something on the table yesterday. This is what they're doing, right? They're having a conversation. And a moment ago, you said that the president hasn't spoken about the thousands of people who are not getting paid. The president signed a bill that will provide hundreds of thousands of government employees with back pay after the shutdown ends. He just signed that bill last week.
Can I give you some real world? I'm talking to these people every single day. They can't, the TSA guys in Detroit can't pay for the gas to go to work. I talked to a Secret Service agent who is putting his life and willing to take a bullet, and his kids are suffering. He can't explain to his kids.
Yeah, I think
both mom and
I think we both agree on this.
Absolutely
and,
agree.
I think the bigger
and I
issue,
hope we get people. What we need to do is get in regular order. We have 6 bills that have been negotiated, agreed to by Senate and House Republicans and Democrats.
You know what I think
Let's
people
reopen
get frustrated with? I think no matter what side you're on, you just want to see some honesty. And you want to see honesty, whether it be at the border wall or whether it be in terms of what went on in the 2016 election, or this past week, BuzzFeed coming out with a report saying that the president directed Michael Cohen to lie for him to Congress, and then the special counsel, in a very rare move, had to come out and say that report is inaccurate. What did you think about that?
I don't know what to think, and you know me, I am someone that's very blunt. He didn't totally deny the report. I don't have the facts.
He said it's inaccurate, is what the special counsel's
He said it was inaccurate.
Inaccurate. So should
Adam
we continue with all of this stuff going out there in the zeitgeist to make people think, on the one hand, the president said to lie, on the other hand, the president said that, he just wants the wall and doesn't, and the Democrats want border security. I mean, honesty, I think, is what we all want. On both sides of the aisle.
One of the reasons I think Donald Trump got elected was because the American people were tired of partisan bickering, and they thought that it would bring a change. Unfortunately, it hasn't brought a change. I think you're exactly right. They're tired of seeing this. We got to get in the room, and we got a brand new class with a lot of younger
There's a lot of division there. We got to talk more about that when you come back. Congressman, good to see you. Thank you.
Bring people